यस्य नास्ति स्वयं प्रज्ञा शास्त्रं तस्य करोति किम् लोचनाभ्यां विहीनस्य दर्पणः किं करिष्यति.
Today we sit with a short, sharp verse from Chanakya. 2 lines that ask an uncomfortable question of every reader, every student, every collector of books. Listen to the Sanskrit first. Yasya nasti swayam pragya shastram tasya karoti kim. Lochanabhyam vihinasya darpanah kim karishyati. For one who has no wisdom of his own, what can the scripture do for him? For one who has lost his eyes, what will a mirror do? Let us open the words slowly because each one is carrying weight. Yasya means for whom and nasti means there is not. Swayam means one's own, and hold on to that word because it is the hinge of the whole verse. Pragyaa is wisdom, but not just any knowing. It comes from the root gya, to know, with the prefix pra, meaning forward, intensely. So pragyaa is knowledge that moves, penetrating, discriminating insight, the living intelligence that digests experience and turns it into judgment. Then shastram, scripture, treatise, teaching. This word comes from the root shas, which means to instruct, to guide, to govern. So notice the irony Chanakya has built in. A shastra is by its very definition a thing whose whole purpose is to instruct. And he asks, even this, what can it do, karoti kim, for a person with no inner wisdom? The second line gives the picture. Lochanabhyam means of the two eyes, from the root lok, to see, the same root that gives us loka, the world, because the eyes are what make a world appear. Vihinasya means bereft, deprived, literally abandoned by. And darpana is a mirror. Kim karishyati, what will it ever do? There is even a quiet shift in tense here. The first line asks in the present, what does it do? The second answers in the future, what will it ever do? Not now and not ever. Where does this verse come from? It sits in the 10th chapter of the Chanakya Niti, the collection of practical wisdom attributed to Chanakya, also called Kautilya, the 4th century BCE teacher and strategist who took a boy named Chandragupta and built the Mauryan Empire with him. Chanakya taught at the great university of Takshashila, and he had seen something that clearly annoyed him for a lifetime. Scholars who could recite entire treatises but could not manage a single real decision. The verses around this one all circle the same theme, the difference between having credentials and having capacity. This verse is his whole biography compressed into 2 lines. Texts are everywhere. Judgment is rare. Now the metaphor. Of all the objects Chanakya could have chosen, a lamp for the blind man, music for the deaf man, he chose a mirror. Why? Because a mirror has exactly one function. It shows you yourself. And that, he is hinting, is the true purpose of scripture. Not information about the world, but revelation of yourself, your duties, your blind spots, your nature. The person without pragyaa doesn't merely fail to learn facts. He fails to recognize himself in the teaching. He reads the description of the fool and never once suspects it is his own portrait. There is a hidden barb in the Sanskrit too. Darpana, the word for mirror, comes from the root drip, to be proud, to be puffed up. The mirror is literally the thing that feeds vanity. So the verse whispers a second warning. For the person without inner wisdom, books and degrees and quotations don't become lamps. They become mirrors for the ego, polished surfaces in which we admire ourselves while seeing nothing true. And remember that word, Swayam, one's own. Borrowed conclusions, quoted authorities, memorized opinions, those are someone else's eyes. The tradition of Vedanta makes this a formal method. First, Shravana, hearing the teaching. Then, Manana, reasoning it through for yourself. Then, Nididhyasana, living in it until it becomes you. Hearing without reflection is exactly the blind man holding the mirror. And notice, the very thing you are doing right now, this slow chewing of a verse, is Manana. The verse prescribes its own medicine. The same insight appears across the world. The Buddha put it almost identically in the Dhammapada. A fool can live beside a wise man his whole life and taste no wisdom, the way a spoon spends its life in the soup and never tastes it. But the discerning person tastes it instantly, like the tongue. Spoon and tongue, mirror and eyes. Contact without capacity yields nothing. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus said eyes and ears are bad witnesses to those whose souls don't understand their language. And modern psychology confirms it empirically. Passive exposure to material produces almost no learning. The mind must actively work on what it receives, or nothing is encoded. There is even a name for the modern disease this verse predicted, the collector's fallacy. The saved articles, the unread books, the 100 open tabs, all giving us the warm feeling of knowledge without the substance. And in an age when answers flow from machines on demand, the verse grows fresh teeth. Unlimited access to information multiplies whatever judgment you bring to it. Multiply 0 by the greatest library in history and the answer is still 0. So let this verse question you. Ask yourself, where in my life am I holding a mirror with closed eyes? What knowledge do I own? Books bought, advice received, wisdom saved, that has never once changed a single decision I made? And whose eyes am I seeing with? Which of my strongest opinions could I actually rebuild from my own reasoning? And which am I simply borrowing? Here is a practice for this week. Do not take in any new piece of knowledge, no new article, video or chapter, until you have written 3 or 4 sentences about the last one from memory, answering 2 questions. What does it actually claim? And what will I do differently because of it? If the honest answer is nothing, write the word nothing and feel its weight. And once a day, take one idea you believe you know and explain it out loud, simply as if to a bright child. Wherever you stumble, that is the exact spot where you were blind and holding a mirror. The verse ends with a mercy it never states aloud. Eyes can be opened. Pragyaa is not a fixed talent. It grows through exactly this kind of slow first-person reflection. The blind man in the verse is not condemned. He is being told where to look. Yasya nasti swayam pragyaa, shastram tasya karoti kim. May the mirror find your eyes open.
यस्य नास्ति स्वयं प्रज्ञा शास्त्रं तस्य करोति किम् लोचनाभ्यां विहीनस्य दर्पणः किं करिष्यति